Right. Well, I think I'm proud of the way our team competed out there tonight. I thought they made plays when they needed to make them. I think there's definitely a lot of things that we can improve on. I also think that there's a lot of things that, we did well as a team, and I think you have to give a lot of credit to West Virginia's team, which we had a tremendous amount of respect for them going into this game. These guys had Oklahoma on the ropes last year. They beat Oklahoma State. They've got a lot of those players returning, especially the quarterback and their receivers and the runners. But I was really pleased with the way we controlled the ball on offense, time of possession, good job on third down, good balance between run and pass, a couple 100-yard rushers, 100-yard guy receiving. I thought Blake Sims settled down in the second half, managed the game a little bit better. And I was really pleased with the way he was able to perform overall. Defensively, we didn't respond very well to not having the kind of leadership out there with two new guys that never started a game before playing linebacker. We didn't play the gap fits very well on the runs, and we didn't execute the pressures like we were supposed to, and had a lot of mental errors. So kickoff return for a touchdown, had a missed tackle on that. And I think that, one of the things that, affects us a little bit is we have some guys that are really good special teams players, and when we play against these no-huddle teams, we take them off of special teams because they play so many plays and they get stressed in the game a little bit. And so that probably hurt us a little bit there, but that's something that we got to get cleaned up as well. But I really liked the way the players competed in the game. Defensively, we settled down and played a little bit better in the second half. 2 big stops inside the 10-yard line, probably the difference in the game for us. But getting 3 stops at the end of the game and not letting them get back in it was huge, with 2 punts and a 4th down stop at the end of the game. So there's a lot of good things. There's definitely a lot of things that we need to improve on. And I think that's what you find out when you play a first game.
All right, we'll move into questions. Please raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We're going to start right over here on the right.
Probably an unfair question without looking at the film yet, but I'm trying to get another feel for what you were talking about. Was it more execution from your eyes defensively, or missed assignments, or just a mixture? Or?
It was a combination of both. I don't know. When I look at the film, I know that we made, a lot of mental errors. I think when you have leadership out there, a guy that calls the defenses and everybody's really confident in the call that they're making, and they direct the whole thing almost just like a quarterback. And now you got to do this with no huddle. All right, so we didn't have that in this game. We didn't have any player that's ever played before at linebacker. And I think at times the coordination between what the secondary was doing and what the linebackers were doing and what they were all supposed to do was not exactly what it should have been. But these are all things that we've executed before. They're all things that we can learn from. They're all things that we're capable of doing. So I think, just having more poise. And I do think when we get some other players back, it probably will help everyone to play with more poise.
Okay, right over here in the front.
Coach, 2 things. First, how'd you feel about Blake handling the ebb and flow of a game? And then 2, did you have any thought of putting Coker in the game?
We really said that we were going to play the game. In the second quarter, Blake got a little bit rattled. All right, and I told Jake, I said, get loosened up. If he doesn't settle down, we're going to have to put you in the game. And it wasn't in his play. All right, it was in. He called a couple formations wrong in the huddle. He called a couple plays wrong. We had to burn a couple timeouts. We went down to 1 on the shot clock a couple times. There was confusion on the field. That's when I said to Lane, I said, hey, let's just go no huddle. And it'll make it a lot simpler for him. And when we did that, he sort of got it back together, and then he was fine after that. So, that one little stretch in the second quarter where we got a little bit out of sync was really the only time. But I thought Blake did a really good job. Hey, he had a couple guys open, all right, that he missed. He also had a couple guys that dropped balls, that he delivered. But all in all, for him to throw for 250 yards and, did a pretty good job of executing all in all, and I'm happy with his progress, and we're looking forward to how we can help him improve as well as Jake too.
Coach, I know he had done well for you in the scrimmages beforehand, but talk about the job that Adam Griffith did today in his first true game action for an entire game.
Well, he was 4 for 4. He kicked off really well. Had a couple touchbacks. We've always had a lot of confidence in Griff. There were times last year when, we thought about him being the kicker, but we've always had a lot of confidence in him. I think he's got confidence. I think making 4 kicks tonight gives him confidence. When we recruited him, he was a sophomore at our camp. He was as good a kicker as we'd ever had at our camp, in terms of his accuracy and combination of explosion and the ball getting up quick and all those things. So it's good to see him have this kind of success, and we're excited about what he can do in the future.
Okay, over here in the middle.
Do you have an update on DeAndrew White?
DeAndrew White has a little separated shoulder. I don't think it's really bad. He may be out. I hadn't talked to Doc yet, but maybe a week or so. I don't know.
All right, where are we going next, guys? Okay, over here, Jeremy.
You mentioned Blake was comfortable in that no huddle. How much more could you go to that in the future?
We could do it as much as we want.
Just depends on the day or game plan.
Yeah.
All right, well,
I think we will do what we think benefits our players the most. And, there's a lot of things that, we change personnel groups, try to play more players, and, that's a little more difficult to do, with, we're one of the few teams in the world that still play regular people. You know what regular people means? A tight end, 2 backs, and 2 wideouts. That's like when I played, that was like getting an empty. All right, so, and now we're like the dinosaur age, when it comes to that. We also play 2 tight ends and 2 wideouts and 1 back. But, one thing that I found out about all that is because everybody else is spread and no huddle, people really have a tough time defending what we do, because nobody does it. All right, so, and it does allow us to be, more physical, and it does allow us to play more players. But we'll certainly consider, we have the capabilities of doing it, and we'll consider doing it in the future.
all right, where are we going next, guys? Time
Right
for
over
a
here, I
couple
think.
more?
Yeah,
All right, we'll go right here in the front left.
We got a guy over here that's.
Coach, everything considered, is this the kind of game you'd like to see in the opener and where you're really tested by another team?
Well, first of all, I thought this game was going to be exactly like it was. I really thought West Virginia had a lot better team than anybody thought. And like you all do, which I love you for doing it, is you create perceptions. All right, so your perception is we're really good and they're not so good. So we're going to come into this game and everybody's expectation is it's going to be a one-sided, lopsided game. And I never thought that at all. I really thought this game would be a lot like the Virginia Tech game we had over here, 6 or 7 years ago, when it was like, 28-17 or something, and it was 21-17 in the fourth quarter. I thought that's the kind of game this would be. I just not having a quarterback that has any experience, not having a linebacker who ever played before, that is out there playing against a fastball no-huddle group, that had to call the defenses and get the defense lined up. I just thought that there were a lot of critical positions, that, we were going to get tested at based on who we were playing and the quality of team that they had. So I'm not surprised at all. Now, did I think they'd run a kickoff back for a touchdown? No, we usually have pretty good kickoff coverage. Were there some plays out there that I thought we'd play a whole lot better? Absolutely. Is there a lot of things that we can improve on? I don't think there's any question about that. But what you find out in the first game is where you are. This is where we are. All right, so what do we need to do to improve as a team? And I think that's what our focus should be, and that's what we want to, try to do, with our team.
All right,
I like our team's attitude. I like the way they work, the competitive character that they have. More guys are bought into doing things the way they need to do them, I think, to be successful. Are we as talented as some of the teams in the past at critical positions? Critical positions being quarterback, and stuff like that. We don't have the experience. So we're going to grow into those things, which I knew going in and you knew going in, but you just ignored it. I couldn't.
All right, we're going to go two more. We're going to go right here, and then we're going to go over here.
Coach, how did you feel about Coach Kiffin's play calling, and how was the communication with him down on the field?
Great. Did a great job. Really helped Blake manage the game. Very involved. Even helped him with some of his checks being on the sidelines, which is what we thought. That's why we put him there, because that's what we thought he could do to affect the game. Told him a lot about what we were going to do next so he could anticipate what he had to do. So I thought he did a fantastic job. The guy's a really good coach now. All right, you all need to fess up to that. And most places that don't like him is because he left, and they were mad because he left. They weren't mad about anything he did while he was there. Just do a little research on that.
All right, last question right here in the front.
You mentioned WVU versus Oklahoma and Oklahoma State last year, but the 4-8 West Virginia team you saw on film versus the West Virginia team you saw today, was it a much improved team, a better team? Did they make a big jump?
Well, we didn't play them last year, so I can't really tell you that. But, they scored a lot of points on a lot of people last year. And they struggled defensively. I do think they're a little better defensively than they were a year ago. And I think they can be just as good or better on offense, because I think they have, the right people in the right places, and the system that they run, sort of fits the people that they have. They got good runners now. That Shell, that guy's a good runner, and you're gonna know it before the end of this year is over. Some of those other guys are good runners too.
All right, that'll do it. Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.